everyone! Anomaly, and Cameron, it is so good to see you both again. Hello, seeing familiar names makes my heart smile. Welcome to the second half of our weird storytelling tonight. Now, I say second half, but there was a previous stream that I did where I tried to test it out. And there's currently a stream up that I'll be saving onto YouTube that addresses why that stream doesn't exist. So we'll be starting from the previous point of stream number 1. So if y'all haven't seen the first stream, we'll be doing a brief recap. And wait, I just realized my webcam is not on. Silly me. Hello, everyone. Hi. So, for a brief recap of what's been going on, a couple days, last night, I got harassed on stream. I already discussed it. I'm not going to go into full details on it. But I got basically yelled at for beliefs that weren't true. Because of this story. Hey, hi! But we're going to continue the story from where we left off. If I remember correctly, we left off at the part where Alexander and the mysterious woman were getting into their family vehicle. But for a brief recap first, for those who didn't see the first half of the story. I believe Anomaly did not see the first half of the story, so allow me to give a brief recap. So, this story takes place about an author named Alexander Jones and a mysterious woman that he meets along the way to a convention. And throughout this weird and wacky adventure, he learns that he is reliving one of the stories that he wrote in real life. And the mysterious woman that he is with, as far as he knows, has no face. He has only ever seen her eyes, her family crest, which is a violet phoenix, or purple phoenix, or whatever color it was. I honestly, at this very moment, cannot remember. However, at the point that we're coming into, there have been 5 kills in the storyline that have happened all the exact same way. And now, we're heading on to the interesting half of the section where a not so very nice mother and a somewhat understanding father have taken her to where we are now. So if anyone has any questions about the story, please do not hesitate to ask. And I'm also going to say this may be the last time that we use the Streamlabs neon setup for a while, because I might be actually changing it here in the near future. So, for starters, it is awesome to see you both here. It means a lot to me that y'all decided to show up. And please keep in mind that if anyone shows up and is rude or obnoxious in chat, for the love of God, help me out, monitor them as best as we can. But without further ado, I think we should continue the story. Y'all still here, right? Because tells me my moderators ain't here. That's spooky. Oh well. We'll wait for them to come back. They should be here in theory. Perhaps they're just glitching out. It tends to be a possibility with these kind of things. Yeah, we're still here, bro. Okay, cool. So it's just Streamlabs is being a little goofy. There they are. Okay, Streamlabs finally reset itself. Alright, cool. So, without further ado, we shall continue from where we left off, where I believe Alexander and the woman were in the vehicle with her family. I think that's where we left off. I might have to run my own refresher course on my own story. Let me think. Yes, we were there. Okay. Just do thing at the same time. Okay. We can make this work. So. I have to think now. I'm off track slightly. Okay, I know where I am. Alright, I had to remember for a half second. Alright, so we're... Oh, jeez. No, we're there. Okay. Oh, I'm nervous of continuing this story, but we're gonna try. As we were riding in the family car, the mysterious woman who I'd been with this entire time did not speak at all. Her appearance had changed completely, and she was barely recognizable. "So," said the father, looking back through the rearview mirror, "what circumstances caused you to meet our daughter?" I turned to the man, trying to stay as professional as possible. "Well, sir," I began, "we really didn't meet the most professional of ways." "Oh," said the father, "and what do you mean by that?" "Well," I replied to her father, "we sort of ended up in the same bunk room on board the train." "Typical," said the mother, "always ending up in the worst places with people." "I don't understand what you mean, ma'am," I said, acting like I had no idea what she was talking about. "Our daughter always gets into stupid scenarios and runs away." Alright, after the Purell madness I'm in for your story, it's really good. Well, thank you, Cameron. "What do you mean she runs away?" I said, looking back at the woman, who now was more young than she was a few moments ago. "She has this tendency to run off to these conventions," her mother said with quotation marks while driving. "I don't fully understand them, nor do I condone them. Her actions aren't worth it." "Worth what?" I said. "Going to these conventions. She talks about this thing called live streaming. She says it's like an online show. But we in this household have real jobs." "Now, sweetie," said her husband, looking across to her, "we can't completely dissuade from her online hobbies. If she makes money off of it, we should support that." The father seemed a lot more caring about the girl than the mother did. "Typical of you," she replied. "You're always supporting her on her goofy adventures." "Your adventures aren't any better, dear," he replied. "You do take off randomly in the middle of the night." "Don't bring that up now," the woman said, looking at her husband. "We need to focus on what's going on." "And what's going on?" I said, completely at a loss for words. "This is none of your concern, boy," she said, looking back at me in the middle seat of the vehicle. At this point, I should clarify, I'm recently out of college, and I am fairly steadily employed as an author in my mid-20s. A woman who's been with me this entire time definitely seemed in her beauty more in her early 20s than late 20s like me. But now, she seemed like she wasn't anymore. She looked no more than a high schooler who just graduated, or at least a senior at best. "So, where are we going?" I said, looking at the mom and the dad. "Ugh, I have to explain this to you, don't I?" said the mother. "We're going to a family gathering." "A family gathering?" I said. "I do not follow." "Well," said the father, "you see, once we adopted," his sentence immediately stopped, as if he couldn't get the words out. I turned around, and the girl had her arm in the air, motioning towards her father. In a very, very soft voice she spoke, and it was quivering as if she was crying. "Do not speak my name, father," she said calmly. "I wish not for Alexander to know it. Plus, I have never given you either of the rights to say my name." "I apologize," her father said. "I did forget that you don't like us using your name. In that case, we won't say anything about it." "Say anything about what? What's wrong with her name?" Now me trying to get more information. "Quiet!" shouted her mother. "If she doesn't want you to know about it, then she doesn't want you to know. And clearly, she's never told us." "Well, she told me," said her husband. But clearly the mother did not hear this. As we were driving, I continued to try and look back at the woman, who was obviously more of a teenage girl now than anything else. I'm so surprised that she could shapeshift from being a full-grown adult into what appeared to be no more than a high schooler in a matter of seconds. Her hair was still brown, and her face was still covered by the white mask. And instead of it being a simple cloth mask like I thought it was before, I realized it was a full face mask, and it was as white as cotton. But it was as smooth as glass. Why do you wear that? I looked back to ask. Don't speak to her, her mother barked at me. She's not allowed to talk. She has no talent. No, honey, that's not entirely true, the husband said. Oh, shut up, she barked. At this point, I realized that the mother wasn't the nicest person in the world. But then I realized that we were pulling up to a large glass-made building. It appeared to be all windows except for a handful of rooms on the first floor. Jeez, I said, what a weird convention center. Convention center? The mom said, looking back at me. We are not going to a convention center. Then where are we going? I said. Our second house, the husband replied. We don't use it very often, and we tend to rent it out for parties. Second house? I said, looking baffled. How much money do you all have? More than you have, Alexander, she barked. Realizing that I did tell her my name on the way in to the vehicle, I was a little taken back because I genuinely forgot. As we stepped out of the vehicle, the girl got out following right behind her mother, but definitely with a stride that seemed more tense than before. Do you need some help, Dad? Dad's here. So if anyone wants to say hi to him and say hello, he's here.
Oh. Greetings and salutations from somewhere in the Midwest.
The moment I stepped out of the vehicle, the father grabbed my shoulder and says, Boy, I think you should stick with me. Why do you think I should stay with you, sir? He replied. Well, I don't think the missus is very fond of you being here, he said. I concur and agree with you, sir, I replied. Oh, please, he said. You don't have to refer to me as sir. You just refer to me as a father figure. Father figure? Like stepdad? I prefer the title bonus father, he said. The term stepdad seems a little hoarse. I was taken back by this. He was so polite compared to his wife. Cameron says hi.
Hello, how are you?
As we started walking towards the glass house, I noticed something that was a little off-putting for myself. I was merely wearing a trench coat and I had a hoodie, whereas everyone else at the convention was wearing suits, ties, gowns, dresses. I swear someone was wearing a generic tuxedo they must have got on Rent a Tuxedo or one of those tuxedo websites. I feel a little underdressed, I said, following the gentleman into the building. Don't worry about it, he said. Just stick with me and you'll be fine. Stick with you and I'll be fine, I thought to myself. What is this, like an initiation? The moment we got into the room, the girl seemed to have disappeared almost instantly into the crowd. I didn't even recognize that she was gone until I realized she wasn't following her mother. Cameron says he's doing well.
Great.
At this point, I realized that everyone was talking all at once. There were people clearly talking about business and politics. There was another person clearly talking about the financial state of the stock market. And one person, I swear, was talking about the recent football game, though I've preferred American soccer. As I was walking through the convention, the gentleman seemed to not leave my side at all. Her father was a tall figure in a black suit with a silver tie, and yet her mother was wearing a silver dress and a black necklace. You two seem to complement each other, I said, looking at the missus. Yeah, she tends to always want to do the opposite of what I want to do, she said, looking a little down. He picked up a glass from one of the passing gentlemen carrying a tray of drinks. Champagne? He said. No thanks, I'm not a drinker, I replied. Oh, do you prefer grape juice? Grape juice, I said. What kind of offer is that? He didn't know how to respond to this quite well. Well, we do have sparkling grape juice, and it's non-alcoholic, but it looks like wine. I'll gladly take that. Is it kind of like a soda? I said. The gentleman was definitely confused now. We don't have soda here, young man. I do apologize. The only thing we have is sparkling beverages. Alright, I'll try the sparkling grape juice. So the gentleman walked over to a bar and I followed behind him. He seemed to say something to the man, but I couldn't quite make out what he said through the crowd. The man behind the bar grabbed a tall, thin glass and poured sparkling grape juice into the glass. Do I owe you anything for this, mister? I said to the man behind the bar, and he looked kind of puzzled and bewildered. The gentleman standing next to me, the girl's father, spoke again. You owe nothing here. Everything's on a tab. You mean like a pull tab? I said. You must really not be used to these kind of parties, the father said. No, I've never been to one of these before, I replied. I didn't really have a rich family growing up. Well, he began to speak. Don't worry about it. Just make small talk with people and stay middling, but avoid the businessmen. The businessmen? I was taken back by this, and immediately something clicked in my mind. Everybody who was at this house, whether I knew it or not, had something related to them to deal with business. And the people that had recently been murdered were all businessmen. They weren't businesswomen. They were all businessmen. Hold on a second, I said, holding my glass. What's wrong? Said the father. I have a small question to ask, if I'm not intruding. Not at all, said the father. How can I help you? What kind of business do all of these people work for? Well, some people are investors, other people are stockbrokers. We have a couple of football coaches, a few directors of films, and I believe we have a CEO or two of companies. Really? That's a lot of people, I said, quite shocked. That's not all. We do have actresses here, too. Models, superstars. We even have some voice actors here as well. Good God, I said. How many famous people does this family know? We like to keep ourselves a close-knit group. We all try to stay with the family profession. What's the family profession? I said. Business, he simply said, chuckling a little. That felt a little off-putting, the chuckle, I thought to myself. Seemed more forced. I immediately started looking around. Where did the girl go? Oh, you mean my daughter, he said. Yes, where did she go? She usually hangs out in one of the back dressing rooms. You guys have a dressing room in a glass house? Don't worry, he said. It's enclosed in brick wall. Brick, I said. Why not something like concrete? You know, I never thought of that, said the husband. We might have to renovate. Renovate? There was a voice billowing behind him. This is the fifth renovation you've done to this house. The wife and mother of the mysterious woman appeared. You've been trying to renovate this place forever, and I want to keep it glass. Now, sweetheart, the house can't stay glass forever, he replied. I want it glass, and soon it will be diamond, she shouted. All right, sweetie, we'll try to make it diamond, but I'm pretty sure they don't make diamond houses a thing, considering they're so rare. Then use synthetic diamonds. I don't give a shit, she shouted. She was clearly drawing attention that was unwanted because a few people started staring, and the husband began to sweat. Alexander, why don't you go figure out where our daughter is, and I'll take care of this. As you wish, I said, immediately trying to push myself through the crowd as far away from them as possible. Good God, I said, this family is in shambles. After what felt like an hour, I managed to get through the crowd to the back brick room, and I knocked on the door. Ma'am, I tried to sound as cordial as possible. May I come in? Go away, Dad, she shouted. And it was one of the first times I've heard her shout. It's Alexander, I replied. Oh, she said, returning to her soft voice. You may enter. I stepped into the room, and she had her face mask sitting next to her, and her face was down, and she was now wearing a smaller version of her purple cloak. Why did you even come here? She said softly. Well, because I still thought we could discuss the case. The case doesn't matter right now, she said aggressively. Right now, I have to be a good daughter. Bullshit, I said, and I made her jump accidentally. What do you mean, bullshit, she replied. You don't have to be a good daughter if it's not what you want to be. If you don't want to be a pretty princess, then you don't have to be a pretty princess. For all I care, you could be a farmer and you'd still be more respectable than the people in this room. What are you saying? She said, looking up at me. Now I realized she was wearing a cloth mask that was white over her mouth and nose. Her brown eyes were showing, but there was a hint of purple in them. What I'm saying is, money doesn't matter to me. I could throw away money at books for an eternity, but it doesn't change that I'm just a simple person living a simple life, and yes, I've had my fair share of problems, and currently I'm in the weirdest situation of my life. But that doesn't change the fact that I've met someone who's absolutely incredible, and yet I don't know a damn thing about her. Who would that be? She said, looking up at me. Come on, silly, it's you. How could I be talking about anybody else? You're the only one I've talked to that seems to not run or just gawk at the fact I'm in the room. She seemed to be more comfortable around me because her eyes slowly changed from being brown back to violet. What are you saying? She said, looking up at me with her sparkling eyes. What I'm saying is, who you are doesn't matter. It's why you're here that matters. I don't understand. Let me put it in simpler terms, I said. So, take a flower, for example. Most people look at a flower because it's a flower, and it's pretty, right? I guess, she said, standing up and pacing the room. But some people look at a flower not for its color, but for its purpose, to pollinate and help the other flowers grow. You're not making sense, Alex, she said, sounding more like an angsty teen than anything else. Okay, maybe my analogy wasn't the best, but you get what I'm saying. Who you are because of your money isn't important. It's who you are that you've created that's important. Suddenly, it clicked in my head what was going on. That's it! I shouted. What's it? She exclaimed. The person who's doing the killings. They're not happy with who they are, and they're trying to recreate something that they're not, in order to feel like they fit in. So you're saying this person has a personality disorder? She was sounding more like an angsty teen than ever before, and this wasn't, in my opinion, a good thing. No, I said. He's trying to create his own story by piggybacking. Well, she said, returning to her soft voice, I guess we now know what we need to do. What? I said. We need to get the hell out of here, she said. Immediately, in almost a matter of seconds, she returned to her normal form, or what I considered normal, as her adult form, a few inches shorter, a full purple cloak, and she threw off the white mask and pulled from her pocket the black one and slipped it over her ears, raised it over her nose, and looked at me. Let's go, she said. I have more important things than this silly family gathering. By the way, what is this family gathering for? I noticed that some of these people don't quite resemble your adopted family. They were planning on asking me for something, and I'm going to say no, like I usually do. We immediately ran out of the room. As we pushed and shoved through the crowd, I immediately noticed she was lagging behind, so I slowed down. The moment we got to a clearing, her mother grabbed the back of her arm. "How dare you be dressed like that?" her mother shouted. "You can't be dressed like that at this convention. Dress more formally. Go back and change." "Mother," she replied in a soft tone, "I have more important things to worry about than this stupid family reunion, or whatever it is this time. You always drag me into these, and they're not my cup of tea. Frankly, I don't even drink tea." This was shocking considering not too many days ago she did order an iced tea. "You get back to that changing room immediately, and you put on those clothes we bought for you." "I'm not listening to you anymore, Mother," she said softly, and the crowd went quiet. "How dare you disobey me," she said. "And by the way, take off that stupid black mask." The moment she reached for the black mask, I screamed, "Wait!" And after that, I don't remember much. There was a bunch of fighting and a shriek, and I really didn't remember much because I couldn't see a thing. And a few moments later, I woke up in my house, in my room. "What the hell?" I said to myself as I sat up in my bed, and I looked around to see if I was dreaming, and no, it was indeed my room, and I was indeed at home. But I wasn't dressed in my coat or my anything really. I was in my PJs, which, to be honest, weren't the most comfortable thing in the world, and frankly, I hardly ever wore them. Suddenly, there was a knock at my bedroom door. "Hello?" The soft voice of the woman spoke through the door. You may come in," I said with a very questionable sounding voice. She stepped into the room holding a baking tray with a bunch of brownies, a glass of iced tea, and what appeared to be a sandwich. I couldn't quite tell because she was across the room. She came closer, and lo and behold, it was indeed a sandwich. Though poorly knit together, it was still a sandwich. "I'm glad to see you're awake," she said softly. "It's been a few hours." "A few hours?" I said. "Weren't we at a convention?" "Yes," she said. "We were at the family reunion." And I can now confirm that it was a family reunion. "Then how did we get here?" I said, looking confused. She turned her head away from me so I couldn't see her eyes. "Well, there was a commotion, and you kinda got knocked out." "Knocked out? By what?" Now I was concerned that I had a physical injury. "Don't panic," she said, raising her hands in front of me. "It's just my mother tried to remove my mask, and, well, it didn't end well." "Why didn't it end well?" I said. "It's unimportant. Do you have a laundry room or washroom in here?" "You mean in my room?" "No," I said to the woman. "But there's one down the hall." "Perfect. I was just doing some chores while you were out." "You don't have to be my maid," I said. "Oh, please. I've done enough chores. I can do a couple more for my friend." This was the second time she referred to me as a friend. Hang on a second," I said before she left the room. "What is it?" she said. "Can I just ask one question? If it's about my age or my face, I'm not answering it, Alex," she said. "No, it's not that. How long have you been with your foster family?" "For as long as I can remember," she said. "And forever, for me, is an eternity for you." Another mystery that I just had to solve. She's not making any sense. Is she old? Is she young? Has she lived forever, or is she even alive at all? I can't figure this woman out. And yet, I didn't know that very soon, in a couple weeks or so, I'd learn the answers that I sought. Within a few moments after she had left the room, I heard her rummaging around her room, which was right across the hall. I got up, got out of my pajamas, which admittedly were the most uncomfortable and annoying thing to get out of, and put on a t-shirt and some shorts, and stepped out of the room, and stopped dead in my tracks. There, lying on the floor, right outside of my room, was a large purple feather. It seemed like the feather of an eagle or a hawk or some large bird, and I couldn't believe that it was sitting there. It sparkled as if it was from the aurora borealis, and yet, there it was, flat as can be, on the floor. I reached down to pick it up, but the moment my fingers touched the end of the feather, it shattered into pieces of dust and disappeared. What the hell was that? I must have accidentally said that out loud because I looked up and saw the boots of the woman. Wait a minute, I thought. Last time I saw her, she was wearing tennis shoes. Lo and behold, she was wearing high-heeled boots that were purple with black and red accents. "What are you doing on the floor?" she said, looking down at me. Or I thought she was, at least. I looked up at her. "I swear I just saw a feather on the ground." "A feather?" she said. "There's no birds in this house, at least not that I've seen." "Did you have a pet bird at all while I was out?" "No," she said, looking around on the floor, trying to, I guess, look for another feather. "I don't know of any bird that's purple, except for my family crest, but that's it." I looked at her arm, which was slightly exposed from the cloak, and lo and behold, her family crest had returned to her left arm. "So, why are you doing chores in my house if you don't want to do chores anywhere else?" "You're nice. You're not bossing me around to do them," she said softly. "And I should probably get this laundry done before we have to continue our adventure." "What adventure?" I said. "Do you know something I don't?" "Well, the police did arrive and they found another murder victim, but this one's different, and I think you should probably take a look at it." "Okay, but it's not really my department," I said. "Hey, Voltrix Gamer! Hello! Sorry that you're missing out on some of the story, but hello, welcome! I gotta give you privileges, don't I? I gotta give you privileges at some point, don't let me forget that. You're coming in at a crucial part of the story, so I'm glad you made it. I'm very, very glad you made it. It's so good to see you. It's absolutely good to see you, man. As the woman left me on the floor, I was sitting there trying to figure out where on earth that feather came from. It couldn't possibly have came from her, I would have noticed, and it definitely didn't come from me. But then, where could it have come from? Before I could finish my thought process, there was a knock on my front door. I immediately arose from the floor and bolted down the stairs, but before I could even finish getting down the first flight, the woman was already at the door, speaking to somebody. I tried to hide, but considering the landing was very wide, it's not easy. She turned, looked up at me, and then looked back at the person she was speaking to. Then, she closed the door and came up the steps. "That was the police chief," she said softly. "I believe he wants you to come to the station." "You believe or you know," I said. "I'm not running on a gamble here." "I know he wants you to come to the station because, well, he thinks you're involved." "Involved in what? The murders?" I said. "It would be impossible. I've been in this house and with you for quite a while now. You are my literal walking alibi." "I may be your alibi, but that doesn't mean that you're not suspicious. And frankly, neither am I." I could hear the laundry machine beeping, telling me that the cycle was halfway finished. "How long did you put my laundry in for?" "Oh, the usual half an hour." "Why would you put it in for a half hour?" I don't know. I thought that was the right thing to do, she said. I don't usually use a washing machine. And what the hell do you wash clothes with? I said, looking at her very scared. Doesn't matter. Let's get down to the station, she said. She seemed more perky than normal, more upbeat. Can you at least tell me what happened during that moment I was knocked out? I'll explain later. We need to go. Like, now. She bolted out the door and we got into one of my cars and we took off towards the station for the 7th time in the last few days. We got to the police station and we hopped into one of the police cruisers with the chief and he drove us to the crime scene. It was 2 towns over, which, to be honest, for me, is quite a long drive. The entire time, the chief was debriefing us on what had happened. Supposedly, he said, this person, when they died, was writing a note at the moment of their death. And we assume that it's some sort of ancient writing. Ancient? I said? What are we talking? Like Egyptian hieroglyphics here? Are we talking like googly boogly? What are we talking? The chief actually smirked a little when I said hoogly boogly. But the woman who was sitting next to me didn't seem too happy with me joking about it. It's not funny, she said, with a stern tone. If the ancient writing is what I fear, we're in trouble. Well, when we got to the scene, I almost burst out laughing. It wasn't ancient writing at all. It was Japanese. Wait a minute, I said. Pause. Everyone stopped moving for a second. If this person was writing in Japanese, that means they're a foreign businessman, right? Well, possibly, said the chief, but unlikely. Wait a minute. The last 5 men, were they American? The first 3 were, the last 2 were not. Huh, I said, looking confused. Something's not adding up anymore. What? Yes. I will be right back, guys. My dad needs my assistance. In the meantime, we're going to go to a Be Right Back screen. I've added a couple new things, and hopefully this works out. Where's my, right here. If I've done this right, I'm not 100% sure if I've done this right. Let me look here. I think I've done this right. You guys should be able to throw emotes out, and they should be able to play on this Be Right Back screen while I'm helping my dad. So entertain yourselves. Oh, there's also commands. Cameron, if you still have the commands from my stream, hey Anomaly, send them over to Voltrex so that he can use them, because I don't have them at the moment. I'll be right back, guys. Alright, everyone, I'm back. Let me get a hold of the chat real quick. Dad's throwing stuff at me now because
No, I'm not.
Oh, he threw over a very awesome calendar of Ford Classic cars. That's pretty cool. Thanks, Dad. That actually looks awesome. I might look at that later. Let me take a look at chat real quick before we take off with the rest of our story. Alright, let's see here. Hey guys, I made it. I forget them. Hiya, hey gamer. Hi! I am just setting up my Bluetooth speakers so the stream is louder. Nice. Anomaly. Damn. Ah, shut it. I'll probably be right back. If not, I'll see you next stream, Aldroid. Wow, such language. Come on, Cameron. How are you? It happens. Cameron, how you doing? Doing what? Just how are you doing? Oh yeah, Voltrex people sometimes use bad words. We don't make it a big deal, as they are free to speak their minds. Good? Yeah, I guess. But even you and me try to avoid bad language. Yeah, I do try to avoid bad language as much as humanly possible. Every single time I stream! I'll be right back. Sorry, my bad. My friend constantly, he times it the absolute worst. When I'm in stream, he times it and calls me. But he only calls me because he needs a lift somewhere. So I guess he's not, yeah. Anywho, I believe we were talking about the crime scene, yes? Yes. While we were sitting at the crime scene and I was reading the note, I was doing my very best to translate the note as best as possible. The woman was now staring over my shoulder as I read the note. Much taller than me now. Can you translate the note? She said softly. Barely. You didn't write it very legibly, though. Well, how much can you make out? Just the words, I know. I think the word is something, but that's about it. I know something, she said. Something like what? I shrugged my shoulders. What is this? And she shrugged her shoulders. It means I don't know. Well, that leads us to a dead end, doesn't it? She said. Yeah, that's true, I replied. Well, do you have anything on the note or the guy yet? Said the chief, walking up to me. Well, I said, we've only got 3 words on the piece of paper, as far as I can tell. And clearly this businessman is not of American descent. But where's the murder weapon? Said the woman. We haven't found one yet, said the chief. And we're assuming it's the same killer from previously. So you think there's a syringe somewhere? We haven't found one. Well, have you done the usual shenanigan tests? We've tried everything, Alexander. There's no evidence of why he's dead. Could he have died from fright? The woman said. I immediately looked at her like she was nuts. Died from fright? You mean like actually scared to death? It's possible, she said. I've only seen it a few times, but it is indeed possible. Well, can we test to see if he had a heart attack? I looked at the chief questioningly. I guess, said the chief, scoffing away. I turned to the woman. I don't think the chief likes me. I don't think the chief likes anybody, she said. The chief really doesn't, said a voice from behind us, and it was a detective, or an officer. He was wearing both a detective's outfit and an officer's badge. How would you know he doesn't like anybody? I asked the guy. Well, he tends to not like newcomers more than anything else. I should know. I'm very new. I see, because we've never seen you before, I said. The woman pulled on my coat. Can I help you? I said to the woman, and she passed me a piece of paper. I opened up the piece of paper, and it read, I don't trust this man. Look at his right hand. I glanced over at his right hand and noticed that it was covered with a glove, whereas his left hand was not. What happened to your hand? I said, trying to start small talk with the man. Oh, I bashed it against something. It's alright. Doc said it'll be healed in a couple of days. How hard did you bash it? Quite hard. I slammed it in a door. Okay, I said. Well, I hope you get better. Yeah, me too, said the chief. Said the officer. I don't like being out of employment. I'm only back now because I needed the pay. This confused me, but I decided to shrug it off. So I continued on with scouring the crime scene, and I looked everywhere. We were in an office, but the office was outdoors. It had a sunroof, and it was practically by itself. It was a single-floor office, and it only had maybe 2 or 3 rooms, tops. It was a very tiny building. Then I noticed something. The walls didn't align up properly. Wait a minute, I said to myself. Ma'am? I looked at the woman, and the woman looked at me. What is it? Can you push this wall? She looked at me bewildered. I can't just knock a building down. I don't think we're in a building, I said. Can you push on this wall just a little bit? Why do you want me to push on this wall so bad? Trust me on this. I think I know what's going on. So the woman pushed on the wall. And the moment she pushed on the wall, she didn't have to push that hard. The wall fell over, and the rest of the walls followed suit, crushing the crime scene. They're made of cardboard, I shouted. Cardboard? Said the chief. No, this was a building standing here for a long time. Oh, look at the walls! Sure enough, on the back of each wall, it was clearly made of cardboard. They were all painted, and they were being held together by what looked to be nothing more than just simple straps. What's going on here? Said the chief. I swear this building was normal when we got here. And I looked at the front and front-facing walls, and lo and behold, they were painted on both sides. The back walls weren't painted. That's why you thought it was a real building. From the distance, it looks real. It's not. So what you're saying is we have a bogus building and potentially a bogus murder? It ain't a bogus murder, I said. This man is clearly dead. And now, considering he's been crushed with cardboard and he hasn't moved or woken up, I'm gonna classify him as dead. Well, that's not your jurisdiction to classify him as dead, said the chief. If the man hasn't moved, and you got called for this emergency, dummy, he dead. The chief didn't like me saying this, and scoffed and walked away. And I looked over at the woman, now standing next to the pile of cardboard walls. Who could have done such a thing? Lie to the authorities? Well, here's the thing, I said. Not all humans are honest. Why would you refer to your own species as third person? She said. I don't even know if you're human anymore, I said. Well, I never said I was, but I also never said I wasn't, she said, speaking in riddles once again. Ma'am, for the love of God, just give me one hint on what or who you are. She sighed. I guess you're obligated to at least get one clue, she said. I'm like, finally, I said. So she stepped over, and she looked me dead in the eyes, and she said, I have lived longer than you've been alive, but I am younger than the eldest man. What is that supposed to mean? I said. That's just another riddle. Did you expect to give you the answer right away? She said. I said I'd give you a hint. I never said I'd give you the answer. Whatever, I said. I'm just gonna throw this into the case of weird shit that's happened today. We continued to investigate the scene, but eventually I started getting tired again, and my head started to hurt. I'm gonna take a break, I said, sitting down on the ground. Are you alright? The woman said, standing over me. Yeah, my head just really hurts. Well, don't work yourself too hard, she said, and continued and walked away from me. At this point, I didn't know what to expect, or what was going on, or where I was even. We were out in the middle of a field, a few miles away from the town, and all I can say is that something wasn't right. The only thing that was right was I felt, were close to solving this case. And damn it, we were. Finally, I couldn't take the headache anymore. I looked at the woman and the chief and said, I need to go home. I can't take this headache anymore. I need to go home. Would Tylenol help? The chief said. Or perhaps an over-the-counter painkiller? No, I said. I need to go home and rest. As you wish, said the chief. We'll inform you if we find anything suspicious. Clearly, his version of suspicious didn't include an entire cardboard cutout building. So I got back into the police cruiser, and a deputy decided to take us home. My head was pounding as if someone had just been driving nails into my head the whole way home. And clearly, I think the woman noticed. Would you like me to help you deal with the pain, she said. If you can make the pain go away, I'll be fine. But I do want to at least rest before I make any final judgment. Alright, but you've been resting for quite a while. At least promise me you'll go into the office and get some semblance of work done. I rolled my eyes, and clearly she smirked at this. I saw that, she said. Fine, we'll try and put some of these pieces together, but none of this makes sense, I said. And I pulled out a notebook and started to jot some notes down. Right, we have 5 kills, 3 foreigners. We have 6 kills, 3 foreigners and 3 Americans. We have a cardboard building. We've had 5 murders that are all done the same way, and a 6th one that doesn't make sense. No matter how many times we've added stuff up, it doesn't make sense. Nothing's adding up at all. In fact, it doesn't seem like we're even following one cohesive book anymore. What do you mean, one cohesive book? All of these murders, they've been following my books. And I've been thinking this whole time they've been following one book. But maybe they're following 2, or even 3, or all of them. Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves, said the woman. We only have evidence from what looks like one book. But you're saying it's not one book. No, it's clearly at least 2 or 3 books. Because the cardboard cutout doesn't match the motives of the silver liquid. And the foreigners don't match either. Wait, what? She said, doesn't that seem a little off-color? Yes, but the reason why I say that the foreigners don't match is because there were books that were set for overseas, and there were other books that were set in the United States. Oh, she said. So you're saying the books were taking place in different regions. Right, I said. So the fact that some of the people that are dead are now matching different stories, it's not the same. We pulled up to my house, and I thanked the officer and got out of the vehicle and walked inside. My head was still killing me. I stepped in, and my head was pounding even more. The woman realized this because now she was helping me up the stairs. "Maybe you should just lie down and rest," she said. Definitely concerned for my health. "No," I replied, "I need to figure this out. Because if I don't, we could have 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe even 100 on our hands." "100 what?" "Murders," I said. "Have you not been paying attention?" This did not seem to make her very happy. "Don't snap at me, Alex," she said. "I have been paying attention. But it seems like you're not even paying attention to your own health." "That's true," I said. "I don't take care of myself very well." "Well, it's time that someone did take care of you. Go lay down. I'll do your work for you." "No," I said, I'll do it myself. I need to," and before I could speak, she pressed one of her fingers against my lips to shut me up. "Quiet," she said with a stern tone. "You are overworked. I'm going to take care of this, and I'll let you know what I came up with later. Go to bed." And she turned around and went upstairs. And I followed her, and I followed her right up until my office, and she walked in, and I heard the door shut, and I heard a click. "She locked my office door," I said. "She knows me at this point." "Wait, but how does she know that I wouldn't give up unless the door was locked? I've never told anyone that." "How does she know so much about me, and I know practically nothing about her? I know her hair color, I know her family crest, and I know that she's adopted. And she's a shapeshifter. But she doesn't call herself a shapeshifter or even a morphling, if that even is a real thing." So I stumbled down the hall, my head still hurting, and I stepped into my room, and I flopped onto my bed. But my bed had never felt so comfortable. And I rubbed the sheets and realized that the sheets were not the sheets I left with. That's odd. I thought, these aren't my normal sheets. And then I realized that the room was dark and my eyes weren't adjusting to the darkness. I felt around the bed and I grabbed a hold of one of the pillows. And it was silk. Or at least it felt like it was silk. And it was much softer than my other pillows. Okay, I'm clearly in the wrong room, I thought. But when I went to turn on the light, I was, in fact, in my room. Yet, all of my sheets and pillows had been replaced with silk blanket sheets, silk pillowcases, and clearly fluffier pillows. I was at a loss for words. I could only make sound. "Ma'am," I shouted. She came walking into the room. "Do you like the additions to your bed?" She asked. "I don't know if I'm okay with you altering my house or not," I said. "Don't panic," she said. "I only just changed the sheets and covers while I was washing your others. They'll be back by morning." "Oh," I said. "Okay. Where did you get these sheets?" "I stole them from my house," she said with a giggle. "I don't think my parents will really care, though. They have plenty." "All right." I looked at the sheets and realized they were bright, multicolored sheets and multicolored pillowcases. "Go to bed," she said. "I'm in the middle of something." She turned around and closed the door. At that moment, I got into something more comfortable than my current outfit and laid down to rest. But I just couldn't fall asleep. My head hurt way too much. I reached into my bedside stand, pulled out some aspirin, and took it. The headache subsided a little bit, but not by much. But it was enough to help me fall asleep. The next morning, I woke up to to the scent of bacon, eggs, toast, and waffles wafting up from downstairs. Someone must be cooking, I said, and then I forgot the woman was even in my house. I walked downstairs, and the woman was wearing an apron. Her hair was in a ponytail, and a white mask was wrapped completely around her face. Her ears were still showing, and when she turned to face me, her eyes were showing as well. "Morning," she said, squinting her eyes as if trying to smile under her mask. "I thought I'd make you some breakfast." "Okay, stop," I said. "Hold on a moment." She stopped and turned to look at me again. "Is there something wrong, Alexander?" "Why are you doing this?" I said, looking bewildered. "We have more important things to worry about than you making me breakfast." "I just was trying to be nice. You've been letting me stay in your house for the last several days, and I thought it would be a kind thing to do." Her eyes began to well up with tears. "Are you mad at me?" "Well, no, I'm not mad. I'm just confused and befuddled. You're doing things that no normal friend would ever do." "Well, you're not a normal friend, Alexander," she said, looking at me. Her tears slowly starting to fade away. "You're my only true friend. You're more family than anything else." That hit me super close to home, because several years ago, I had lost someone who was very dear to me. And frankly, I haven't recovered from it. "You seem depressed," she said, walking over to me, still wearing an apron around herself. "Yeah, you reminded me of someone for a moment." "Who did I remind you of?" she said, looking confused, her head slightly cantered. "You remind me of my wife." "You have a wife?" she said, looking all of a sudden frightened. "Had," I said, looking down at the floor. "She passed away several years ago." "Oh," she said, looking down at the ground at my feet. "I'm sorry, I had no idea." "No one knew I was married," I replied. "I wanted to keep it away from the world as much as possible. I wanted her to have a quaint life. She didn't even know I was an author until a few years prior to her death." "Really? You kept it that hidden from her?" "I didn't want her to worry. I didn't want her to think that I had a job that was, different." "Would I have ever met her? And if so, would I have liked her?" "Everyone loved her," I said. "But it's one of the reasons I started writing in the first place." "Really? What was your first book?" "It wasn't even a murder novel," I said, looking back up at her. "It was a book literally based around her." "Based around her?" she said. "Yes," I said. "It was actually entirely about her. It was about how she changed a man's life for the better." "That's nice," he said, turning back to flip the bacon so it wouldn't burn, and also flip the waffles. "How long was she your wife?" "About 3 or 4 years," I said. "It was a good marriage." "Did you have any children?" she asked, questioningly. I was slightly taken back by this question. "No," I replied. "We never had the need, or in fact the want. I kind of regret that now." "Well, don't worry about it now. We have more important things, as you clearly said, to worry about," she said, plating up pieces of bacon, the eggs, and waffles. She poured syrup all over the waffles, and then handed me the syrup. "Do you want some?" she said. "I made it myself." "How did you make syrup that fast? I've only been asleep for roughly 8 hours." "Yes," she said. "That doesn't mean I can't run and go get the ingredients." Now she's confusing me, and I'm definitely getting off topic because the point at hand here is that she's acting like my wife, but she's my friend. Is that legal? Doesn't matter. The phone immediately rang, snapping me out of this weird thought process, and I immediately snatched it up. "Hello," I said. "Jones residence." "So, you're on to me," said the voice on the phone, sounding way different than the person that called previously. "Who is this?" I shouted. "Give me your name." "I'm not telling you shit. I'm just being the person that you created." "What are you talking about?" I said over the phone. "You're not making a lick of sense." Alex, you wrote the books. I'm just following the legend. I wanted to live out your fantasies, and now I am. You should be proud of me." The phone went dead. I must have looked like I had seen a ghost or something, because the woman turned and stared at me. "Are you alright?" she said with concern in her voice, still soft as ever though. "I think the killer just prank called me," I said. "No," she said, "that's impossible. You would have had to have your phone number to do that." "Duh. But I genuinely think it was the killer, because he said I created him." "You didn't create a killer," said the woman. "You only inspired..." Wait, she stopped. "You didn't create the killer," she said. "You're inspiring him. Which means the book you're writing must be inspirational." "Wait," I said, "you mean the book I wrote must be inspirational?" "Yes, but also the next book you write needs to be inspirational too," she said, looking at me. She grabbed me by the shoulders and picked me up off the ground. Keep in mind, she's taller now than she was originally. "That's it!" she shouted. "I don't know what you're doing," I said. "The killer is inspired by your book. If the book's killer was inspired by something in the story, he's living off of that, right?" Her eyes were widened with delight. Clearly, she thought she figured something out. "I don't know. I don't remember which book had that, and I've written too many." She basically almost dropped me on the ground. "We gotta go to your notes immediately." And she took off, still wearing the apron, wielding a spatula as she ran up the stairs. I sat there, just simply staring up the stairs. "Come on," she said softly, but with excitement in her voice. We're close to this, right?" "Yeah," I said, we're close, but more close to burning your waffles." "My waffles!" she shouted, sounding more like a child than ever before, and she slid down my banister, hopped off, and slid into my kitchen. "I don't know what got into her," I said to myself, "but she seems like an acrobat now." I realize now, looking back, that she was having her own freedom from her family, and I wasn't figuring it out, which just added to her confusion, or at least the confusion from her to me. Moments later, she arrived. We were upstairs in the office, snacking on the breakfast and reading every note that we had written down. Suddenly, we got another phone call, this time on my private number. And I picked it up, and it was the police chief. "We believe that you are in cahoots with the killer, yes?" the chief said, trying to sound like some fake news anchor. "No, chief," I said. "We're not even close." "Damn," he said, "you figured me out." "Why are you trying to pin this on me?" I asked. "You're the one that wrote the books. Clearly, you're responsible for this." "That's not how this works," I told the chief. "But yes, the killer did call me." "The killer called you?" he said. "He's called me twice now. And usually after he calls me, before I could finish my sentence, there was alarms going off on the phone." "What's going on?" the chief shouted away from the phone. We believe the killer's broken into the police station, sir. We don't know who it is, though. We can't see his face, or who he is." "Wait!" All of a sudden, we heard the sound of glass shattering, followed by a scream and a thud, and the sound of feet running. one of the officers died on the phone, and we didn't know it yet. She said, "Get your asses to the station immediately. I'm done with this. I'm doing this myself." And he immediately hung up the phone. That sentence didn't make sense, I said, hanging up my receiver. The Marshmallow Horseman! Welcome! It's an honor to have you here. Thank you for joining us. I hope you're enjoying the story so far. What happened? Said the woman. The police chief said, "Come to the station, but I'm dealing with this myself?" That doesn't make sense, she said. We better get there before he does something rash. As we left, police cars were whizzing by our house. Or at least, my house. Was it our house by now? I don't know. We quickly jumped into my car and bolted down, and had to pull over 3 or 4 times because police cruisers and a SWAT car shot by. Oh God, I said. He's called the SWAT team. This ain't good. What do you mean this isn't good? She said. The police chief has a tendency when things start getting really, really crazy, he calls in way more backup than he needs. Or at least, that's what I've been told. And I guess this just confirms our suspicions. Moments later, we arrived at the station, and there were at least 20 police cars and 3 SWAT vans outside, surrounding the premises. We quickly pushed through the crowds and went under the fence. Said one of the SWAT men. "I need identification, please." The woman stepped in front of me. "You don't need our identification, sir," she said with a stern, soft voice. SWAT man looked at her. "Ma'am, I need your identification, or you will have to step away." And then she walked right past him, walked around him, and stood right behind him. "Where'd she go?" the man said. "I clearly just saw her walk behind that guy, right?" I said to myself. The man turned around, and I swear the SWAT man turned white as a sheet. "How did you do that?" he shouted. "I just saw you not 10 seconds ago." "I told you," she said with a soft voice, "you don't need identification from us." And she walked into the station. The SWAT man turned and looked at me. "Yeah," I said, straightening up, trying to act all sophisticated. "I'm with her," and walked past the SWAT guy. The police chief was standing over the deputy who had fallen on the floor. Lo and behold, he was in fact dead. But what didn't make sense was the silver syringes in his hand. And his gloved hand, to be precise. "What is going on here?" I said, looking at the situation. "Well," said the chief, "the new guy just bit it, and it looks like a suicide more than anything else." "A suicide?" I cried. "You were just on the phone with me not 10 minutes ago saying that someone broke in." "No one said that someone broke in, but the new guy screamed." I shook my head, bewildered. "Are you hearing this?" I said, looking at the woman. She simply shrugged her shoulders underneath her cloak, but she did tighten it down a little bit. "Well, well, well, we meet again," came a familiar voice. The FBI agents stepped in, and the FBI agent that we met day 1 of this crazy adventure was leading them. There was at least 6 of them, including him. "Well, Miss Streamer, it's good to see you again," he said, tipping his hat. But she was now cowering behind me, no taller than my shoulders. "It seems that you just can't keep yourself out of trouble, Alex. We told you to stay out of this. And now we see you standing over the body, with clearly a murder weapon in his hand." "Wait," I said, "you think I'm the killer?" "Hi! Oh my God, hi! Hi! You scared the hell out of me. Hello! You just scared the ever-living shit out of me. Hello!" Oh, that scared me. So for those who don't know, I'm going to pause for half a second. Vi over here is real important to this, because half of the things she helped me write. Or at least she helped me get the cohesiveness of the damn story. I'm interrupting this stream to tell you I went on the rail bike. Okay, hang on, wait, pause, time out. We're stopping this story. Details now. I need details about this. For those who don't know, there's this new exhibit not too far from where we are. It's awesome, and I do recommend it. I need to know details of how much it cost. Unless you did it for free. I need details, like, now. This is my sister, by the way, so, like, chill out for a second. Okay, yes, no. Everyone pause for, like, 10 seconds. I need more details from her. So it was awesome. That's great. Tell me you took pictures. Tell me you took pictures or a video or something. Hi, Cameron. Yes, this is my legitimate, like, sister from another mister kind of ordeal here. She is incredible. So, I gotta know. If you can tell me, if you're still here, because it says that you're still here, I need to know how much it cost. But that is awesome. That is so cool. She got to go on those. I'm going to have to try that now. Alright, so pause for like 10 seconds. Alright, we got to get back on track here. That is so cool that she was here. Okay. She got me off track. Crap. Which is ironic. The FBI agent was scanning the room and now looking at the woman behind me. Why do you cower from me? He says. I'm not a big, scary guy. He lifts his arms up, trying to act like he's a big, giant clown. But she begins shaking and grasping at my coat from behind. Oh, come on, he said. Don't be scared. He raises his hand out to gesture to, like, do you trust me? From Aladdin. But she cowered even more behind me and threw up her cloak even more and tightened it so that he couldn't even see her eyes. Thank you, Vi! For those who want to know about the experience, check out this link right here. Please, for the love of God, check it out. They are awesome people. It's so cool. I actually endorse this. It's one of the few times I will let a link. And of course I took pictures, idiot. Yes, I'm a baka. I know I am. Send them to me when you get the chance, please. Send them to me when you get the chance. Oh, God. Vine knows how to throw me off track. It doesn't matter, like, if I'm telling a story or I'm doing a gaming stream or whatever, she shows up and everything just goes off the rails for me. And I'm making those jokes. Anyways, gotta go. Bye, lol. Yep, bye, Vi. Always good to have you drop by and scare the hell out of me. Please go check out her streams. Please go check her streams out. She's an absolutely amazing streamer. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be streaming in the first place. Anyway. The woman now was hiding behind me and shaking so much, I swear she was a poodle or a chihuahua or whatever dogs shake the most. Well, I can't stop stupid, he said, and he continued to walk around with the FBI agents as if they were troopers following him. You all right? I said, looking at her. I'm fine, she said, stuttering. I don't get the greatest vibe off of that man. What do you mean? I said. He seems off-putting. She said, now being roughly level height to my own head. Okay, I said, that's an odd thing to say, but let's move on. Then the police chief said, stop right there, as loud as he could. We all froze. The FBI agent that we just spoke to was putting the syringe in his pocket. What are you doing? Said the police chief. And the sergeant looked at him, the FBI agent looked at him and said, I'm merely taking evidence for myself, he said. Why are you doing that? Said the chief. We haven't even identified what it is yet. Please, said the FBI agent. I know what it is. How can you know what it is? I blurted out. If you've never seen it before. Well, because we track your records, he said. We track all records coming out of this station. No, you don't, said the chief, unless you've been hacking us. Hacking? Said the FBI agent, looking around. I would never do such a thing. That's the CIA's job. And we don't want to deal with them right now. The woman looked at me, looked at the agent, looked at the chief, and then looked at the body. Well, she said, I think this has gone on long enough. We need to find out who did this. And fast. And the only way we're gonna do this, reluctantly, we'll have to work together. Work together, said the FBI agent. I work with no man. Then get rid of your troopers, she said, looking behind, gesturing to the 5 men behind him. He said, fine. You make a valid point. Let's work together like one big happy family. He said with the most sarcastically pissed off voice you could possibly come up with. And this is where we end the stream today. Because I don't want to spoil the ending just yet. And I have some things that I have to attend to. But my word, what do you guys think so far of the tale? Because I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving this story. Because so far we've had such incredible amounts of stuff going on that I think we're getting to a really good part in the story. If I remember how I've played this all out, we're getting to an excellent part of the story. So, I want to know your guys' thoughts on this. And if you want me to do another stream on this coming up in the near future, please tell me. And I will gladly do another stream coming up. By the way, these folks that I am banning, do not panic. I am only banning the VODs. I love this story. I'm glad you do, Cameron. I worked very hard on it a long time ago. Now, before I go anywhere, I need to do one very important thing. I need to add something. Me and Cameron are testing some new ships in the Star Trek game, and he made one with my middle name. Really? That's awesome. So, if you'll give me but a moment here, Mr. Voltrex, a good story. Thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I need to do something very quickly. I have to go to my dashboard through Twitch in order to do this because I can't do it through regular means. And my stream's gonna bug out, so bear with me. But I need to go to my creator dashboard. So just give me a second. I have a surprise for you, Volt. I have a surprise for you. Wow, my bitrate is all over the place. Where are you, bud? I gotta find you. Hold on. Not doing anything bad, just give me a moment. Gonna take me a hot second because my stream is being a little goofy. There we go. Alright. I should be able to now let's see. I'm gonna lag to death here. Let's see, how does one... Trying to figure it out here. Hold on a moment. That's how I do it. Okay. Okay, Lil, the ship has made, for me, is an NXRT. Is named Riker because of the... Ooh! Interesting. Alright. Here we go. Just for you. I really hope this is the right one. There we go. If you type in chat now, you should have your reward. There you go! Welcome to the Moderator Club, buddy. Welcome to the Moderator Club. I thought you'd enjoy that because you've been so wonderful in my streams. You deserve the same title as Cameron. You're absolutely welcome! And there's your little emote! Look at him go! Bye! So yeah, we also have that new emote wall. So if you ever post an emote or do anything of the sort with any emotes, for example, if I was to say take a bunch of emotes like this, they'll bounce all over my wall. Here goes Komodo Hype. Komodo Hype's gone. But yeah, we have a new emote wall. So if you want to goof with emotes for a little while, you by God can. Go do so. It's awesome. Anyway, we're going to raid someone, because I don't usually do raids that often. But today we're going to be doing an awesome raid. Thank you. You are welcome, buddy. I hope your streaming career goes amazing. Now, today, we are going to raid one of my favorite all-time streamers. She's amazing. She's awesome. She's super caring. I don't raid people that often. I'm gonna say it over and over and over. You're welcome. Yeah, see what Purell did to him? I give him a gift and made him happy. Yeah, you gotta give people gifts. So, right now, I'm gonna take a look at this person's stream, see if I can't make this happen. Now, for the record, she does not know we're gonna be raiding her. Now keep in mind, she's a bit suggestive on the content, so be advised of that. But we're going to raid one of my all-time favorite streamers. She's super cool. She's super awesome. Unless there's someone else. Let me see. Oh, there's a small streamer. We're going to raid the smaller streamer. She's a lot nice. She's a lot more friendly. She's also an Aussie, so please respect her. You're very best to respect the Aussie as much as you can. Let me just copy her name real quick. My stream's gonna go absolutely bonkers here, so hang on, everybody. Okay, in theory that should work. Excuse me. We don't have any BGM because I'm trying to load her stream up. Both me and Kevin have been using Streamlabs, the app, on our phones, and you told me about it. And it's been running great for both of us. So again, thanks. You're welcome, dude. You're 100% welcome. Like, don't ever worry about it, man. If you're loving what's going on, don't hate it. Don't ever be upset with what's going on, man. If you're loving what's going on, you're welcome. Don't feel bad. Don't feel like you have to thank me over and over and over again. If you want to, I won't stop you. But like, it's okay, dude. You're all right. All right, let's try this again. /raid. That should have worked. Done this right, it should have worked. I can't tell if the raid thing is going off. I'm gonna. By all means, if you want to keep doing it, dude, I'm not gonna stop you. So, with that being said, I think we're gonna end it here. Hope you guys have loved this story. If you have loved this story, by all means, come back next time and we'll finish it off. Because we're on part 2. Part 3 is where it's all coming together. I'm trying to figure out why my little raid icon isn't popping up. There it is. That's what I was waiting for. Okay. With that being said, crew, I bid you adieu. I bid you farewell. And next time we'll have a different outro, intro, and all kinds of stuff. We'll have something different.